I live in a quiet little suburb outside of Austin. It's Texas. You'd think that after a long day of work, you could come home, sit on your porch, and just enjoy the sound of the wind through the trees. But no, if you've ever lived under an HOA, you know peace doesn't last long. Especially not when you've got a Karen on the board. Now, most people think HOA, Karens just complain about paint colors or trash cans. Mine, she took things to a whole new level. Her name's Linda, but everyone in the neighborhood calls her Mailbox Karen. You'll soon understand why. It started small, like it always does. One morning I went out to grab my mail and I noticed a weird slip sitting on top of my letters. It wasn't from the post office, it was from the HOA. It read, "Mailboxes must be uniform, freshly painted and free from personal modifications. Please correct yours immediately." I looked at my mailbox. It was fine black paint, solid post, nothing fancy. But apparently, my small engraved number plate Ranchview 17 wasn't HOA approved. I rolled my eyes and ignored it. I wasn't repainting something perfectly fine because a self-appointed queen didn't like it. A few days later, I caught Karen standing by my mailbox with her phone out. She was taking photos of it from every angle like it was a crime scene. I opened my window and yelled, "Hey, what are you doing?" She jumped and said, "Documenting violations. You'll thank me later when the neighborhood maintains its property value." I couldn't believe it. I told her to get off my property, but she smirked, waved her little HOA clipboard, said technically the mailbox area is community property. That phrase haunted me for weeks. Community property. From then on, she made it her mission to harass me about that mailbox. Every other day I'd find a new notice taped to it, paint peeling, mailbox slanted. Unapproved numbering style. She even complained that the flag I used to show I had outgoing mail was too red. I tried to play nice. I repainted the box. I straightened it. I even emailed the HOA to ask what the official mailbox guidelines were. No one replied, except Karen, of course. Her email said, "Dear resident, please refrain from questioning board decisions. We expect compliance, not conversation." That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control. Then came the trespassing one morning. I looked out my window and saw Karen again this time. She wasn't just taking pictures. She had a paintbrush. She was repainting my mailbox without permission. I ran outside, furious. "What do you think you're doing?" She calmly said, "Fixing it. The HOA-approved color is colonial black, not jet black." "You're welcome." I couldn't believe the audacity. "That's vandalism." I said. She smiled. "No, it's enforcement. I wanted to call the cops, but I knew how it would go. It's just paint." "Sir." So I took photos, reported it to the HOA, and of course, the board found no wrongdoing. That's when I decided if she wanted to keep messing around with my mailbox, she was going to regret it. Now, I'm not a petty guy, but I'm a beekeeper. Been keeping hives for years on my ranch property outside the neighborhood. I know bees, and I know how to move them safely. So the idea hit me one night when I saw Karen walking her dog circling my mailbox, again with her flashlight. That was it. The last straw. The next morning, I grabbed one of my smaller portable hives, about 2 pounds of beesond, a chunk of comb. I carefully placed the hive inside a false compartment I built under my mailbox. I left small vents so the bees could breathe and stay calm. They weren't angry bees, they were docile honeybees, but if you bother them, they'll let you know. Then I waited for 2 whole days, nothing happened. I started thinking maybe she'd finally moved on. But no. Day 3, 8:15 a.m. sharp, I heard that familiar sound of heels clicking on pavement. I peeked through my blinds. There she was, clipboard in one hand, paintbrush in the other. She strutted up to my mailbox like she owned it. I whispered, "Showtime." She reached out to open the mailbox lid, probably to check if the color had faded overnight. And the moment that door swung open, the bees came rushing out like tiny soldiers on a mission. Karen shrieked louder than I've ever heard anyone scream. She dropped her clipboard, stumbled backward, waving her arms like she was directing an orchestra of panic. I couldn't help it. Started laughing so hard I nearly fell over. I grabbed my phone and recorded just as she screamed, he weaponized bees. This is an act of terrorism. She bolted down the street, flailing and yelling about biohazard mailboxes. The best part? Not a single bee stung her. They were just curious and confused. But to Karen, it was like the apocalypse. Within 10 minutes, I had the HOA president, the neighborhood security guy, and even an animal control van parked outside my house. Karen was there too, covered in a blanket, pointing at me dramatically. "He tried to kill me with bees," she shouted. "The HOA president asked me, sir, is it true you placed bees inside your mailbox?" I smiled. Technically, they were under the mailbox. Educational beekeeping display. The president just sighed. "You can't keep live animals in or near communal structures." I pointed at the ground. "Karen's been trespassing and tampering with my property for weeks." "I simply installed a deterrent," Karen yelled. "You're lying." I showed the security guy the video of her repainting my mailbox. Then another video of her opening it again after repeated warnings. Her face turned bright red. The HOA president crossed his arms. "Linda, you've been told not to enter other residents' property. You violated several bylaws." I could see her mouth trembling. But he has bees," he replied, "and you have boundary issues." That day was glorious. The HOA issued her a formal warning for harassment and trespassing. They even told her to stay 15 feet away from my property at all times, but Karen wasn't done. She started spreading rumors telling everyone I was breeding attack bees. Some neighbors actually believed her. But when they realized I was just a normal beekeeper with legal hives, her credibility tanked. Then came the revenge she didn't expect, see. After that incident, I decided to run for the HOA board. If you can't beat them, join them. I started talking to neighbors, sharing how the board was being run by people who thought they could control every mailbox, fence, and flower. Turns out, I wasn't the only one Karen had terrorized. By the next election, we had enough votes to replace half the board, including her. She lost her position in a landslide. The look on her face that day? Priceless. Afterward, I made sure the new board changed one specific rule. Mailboxes are personal property. No HOA member can touch, paint, or inspect them without written consent. Freedom never tasted so sweet. Months later, Karen moved out. She couldn't handle living in a neighborhood where she wasn't in charge. The day the moving truck pulled away, I put up a little sign by my mailbox that said, "Protected by bees and democracy." Now, whenever I walk out to get my mail, I smile. The bees are still there, safely housed in their new hive in my backyard. And every so often, when a new neighbor moves in, they'll ask, "Hey, what's the story with the bees?" I tell them the legend of HOA Karen, the woman who thought she could control everyone's mailbox, until she met the one guy who fought back with nature itself. And the best part? The video I took that morning went viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments cheering me on, people saying things like, "Justice delivered by the bees." And HOA Karen finally met her match. I didn't post it for revenge. I posted it because sometimes you've got to show the world that standing up for yourself can come in all shapes and forms, even in the buzz of 1,000 tiny wings. And every time I watch it again, I can't help but laugh because I didn't just keep Karen off my mailbox. I made sure no HOA Karen ever dared to mess with me again.